hope you are doing well, dear viewers of Burundi National Television. It's time for English News Edition. I am Evariste Nyangul on the presentation. Without further delaying, headlines. This morning, the arrival of the UNHCR Regional Director for East Africa, the Horn of Africa and the Great Lakes, Mr. Mamadou Diane Bald at Melchior Ndadaye International Airport for a 4-day mission to Burundi. He came to engage with the Burundian authorities on matters concerning the reintegration of Burundian refugees wishing to return home, as well as the restoration of Congolese refugees currently residing in Burundi. Burundi is taking decisive step toward the cleaner mobility since 2024. An ambitious project has been supporting the gradual introduction of electric vehicles in the country. By the way, what are the stakes, the benefits, and the prospects of this green transition? You will find more on this in this news edition. Details now. The Burundi National Assembly has reviewed and adopted the draft schedule of activities for the ordinary parliamentary session of August 2025, covering the period from August 4th to August 18th, 2025. This took place during its ordinary session held on Thursday. During this period, the various standing committees of the National Assembly will meet to examine several draft bills. This Thursday in Bujumbura, as Burundi joins the international community in celebrating World Environment Day, the minister in charge of agriculture, livestock, has conducted a ceremony to conclude this event. Jackson Irakoze has details.
The ceremony is begun with the installation of trash bins designated for the collection of non-biodegradable bottles in Mugele Commune in Gabwe neighborhood. On this occasion, the population was shown how to properly dispose of these non-biodegradable wastes. In her speech, the minister in charge of agriculture and livestock, Kaleni Barushimana, called on everyone to actively take part in the fight against the bad habit of carelessly throwing away plastic bottles and to propose solutions to curb the spread of these plastics. She urged the population to dispose of plastic waste in designated areas while splitting it from other types of waste. The minister also encouraged plastic recycling factory owners and thanked them for their efforts in combating the spread of non-biodegradable bottles. The ceremony was graced by several prominent figures, including the Minister of Sports and Culture, Lydia Sekela, representatives of international organizations in Burundi, senior officials from the relevant ministry, and other invited guests. Closing this day of a workshop on the agroecological transition in Burundi. At the end of the workshop, participants recommended the development of training modules on erosion control. This meeting was organized by the Minister in charge of Agriculture and Livestock. Jivanda Shimiye translated this report.
This national workshop on the agroecological transition in Burundi aimed to initiate a shift towards a climate-resilient agricultural system in line with the Vision 2040-2060. A dialogue framework was established to harmonize information from experts and institutions with the goal of building environmentally friendly agricultural sector during the closing session, which focused on expectations and priorities for training on agroecological transition in Burundi. Several key recommendations were made. These include developing training modules on erosion control, agroforestry, and soil acidity management with clearly defined standards, prioritizing perennial crops on steeply sloping land to replace food crops, promoting sustainable agricultural practices and the conservation as pillars of resilient agricultural system, and lastly, strengthening the communication system to better disseminate emerging agricultural innovations and technologies.
As I said, so far on top of stories, the UNHCR Director for East Africa, Horn of Africa and the Great Lakes, Mr. Mamadou Diane Bald, arrived this morning at Melchior Ndadaye International Airport for a 4-day mission to Burundi. The purpose of his visit is to engage with Burundian authorities on matters concerning the reintegration of Burundian refugees wishing to return home, as well as the situation of Congolese refugees currently residing in Burundi. The Burundian government would allocate more financial resources to productive sectors in order to foster economic growth. These recommendations was made by Gabriel Rufyili, president of the Observatory for the Fight Against Corruption and Economic Embezzlement, ORCOM in the French acronym. He made this statement Thursday during a meeting had to present the findings of study on respect for economic, social and cultural rights in Burundi, a study commissioned by ORCOM. Gordier Gato details.
There are 12 economic, social and cultural rights. Among these are the right to decent housing, the right to adequate food, access to clean drinking water, the right to appropriate health care, as well as the right to enjoy decent living conditions upon retirement. These rights are guaranteed by international legal instruments related to human rights as well as by international economic conventions. According to Anatole Iradukunda, who conducted a study on the respect of these rights in Burundi, the Burundian state has already ratified some of these instruments and integrated them into its national legislation. However, the effective enjoyment of these rights is closely tied to the country's economic situation. In this regard, Gabriel Rufyili, president of the Observatory for the Fight Against Corruption and Economic Embezzlement, ORCOM in French acronyms, believes that respect for these rights must be aligned with the country's development vision. He therefore calls for an increase in national production, a key condition for economic growth. As the new government has just been established, Gabriel Rufyili urges the head of state to organize a government retreat in order to raise awareness and harmonize the understanding of the new government members around the national vision. The objective would be for each official to begin their duties in alignment with the priorities defined in the country's development vision document. Finally, it was recommended that the results of this study be thoroughly analyzed sector by sector. Another proposal put forward is to adapt school curricula according to the needs of the country in order to contribute effectively to its development.
Yes, we keep on our news edition. Let's now move to Gitega, the capital city of Burundi. The activities of the United Methodist Church in Burundi are carried out with the aim of supporting the government's vision of making the country an emerging country by 2040 and developed one by 2060. However, the church hopes to achieve this vision within the next 5 years only without having to wait for others decades. This was stated by Bishop Emmanuel Sinzo Hagera, Bishop of the United Methodist Church in the Rwanda-Burundi region. He made this statement during the opening of the church's annual conference in Gitega. Jiva Ndayishimiye once again.
Annual conference of the United Methodist Church of Burundi is being held at the headquarters of the church located in Nyabugogo in Gitega. The main objective of this conference is to evaluate the activities carried out over the past years and to define future prospects. On the administrative side, the opening of the conference was marked by the presence of the governor of Gitega province, Iboa Bigirimana. In his speech, he praised the work accomplished by the United Methodist Church of Burundi in the fields of education, public health, community development, and others. For his part, Emmanuel Sinzo Hagera, Bishop of the United Methodist Church in the Burundi-Rwanda region, stated that the church is making significant efforts to align its actions with the government's vision of making Burundi an emerging country by 2040 and a developed country by 2060. Bishop Emmanuel Sinzo Hagera assured that the United Methodist Church of Burundi will reflect this vision within maximum of 5 years. It should be noted that this 8th annual conference of the United Methodist Church of Burundi will conclude on Saturday, August 9th, 2025.
As I said, so far top stories in the face of climate challenges and the urgent need to protect our environment, Burundi is taking a decisive step toward the cleaner mobility. Since 2024, an ambitious project has been supporting the gradual introduction of electric vehicles in the country. By the way, what are stakes, the benefits and the prospects of this green transition? Find out more in this hygiene and environment segment by our colleague Emma Gloria Ishimwe.
Since 2024, Burundi has embarked on a transition toward greener mobility with the launch of a support project aimed at introducing electric vehicles. The initiative has been well received as more and more Burundians show growing interest in these means of transport, including both electric cars and motorcycles. The national director of the project highlights the many benefits of this technology, notably its low impact on the environment, the absence of polluting emissions, and the reduction in fuel-related costs. Dealers specializing in the sale of electric vehicles have also confirmed a rise in demand. They emphasize the positive contribution of this mode of transport in the fight against air and noise pollution. To sustain this momentum, Burundian authorities are currently working on a reform to reduce import taxes on electric vehicles. This incentive measure could further accelerate the adoption of clean mobility across the country.
It was a pleasure to be with you, dear viewers of Burundi National Television, but it's by here to wrap up our news edition. Thank you for being with us. Stay tuned.